which is actually made by AI. And this is made by some very young creators from Jaipur. We gave them a challenge, and this is the video that they have put together for the Jan AI challenge. Uh, so, can we play the video, please? Can we have the Can we have the video?
Once, a simple spinning wheel gave India strength. It turned thread into freedom. Today, another wheel is turning. Ramesh stands in his field. He does not guess anymore. He listens. And in that small voice, he finds certainty. Sita has always cared for everyone. Now something cares for her. Not loudly, just gently. Anjali dreams big. She does not leave her village. She grows with it. Knowledge travels, voice to voice, home to home. Change does not always roar. Sometimes it glows. The spinning wheel once made us self-reliant. This digital charka can do it again. This is Jan AI. Let every village shine. Join the movement.
That is what is driving all of us at Jan AI. This is an initiative under the Headed Life Foundation. In fact, delighted to say that we have more than 100 collaboration partners. 30 of them are present in our pavilion. All of us here are partners to the Jan AI movement. Before I launch into the panel discussion, I want to again share another very interesting thing that we've been doing over the last few months. We said into the India AI Summit, we must bring the youth of voices. The three key Ds that the country faces are data, of course, on digital rails and demographic dividend. We said if the voices of youth, especially from rural India, are not heard at the summit, then we are missing out a huge component of this ecosystem that is to take Jan AI into the villages. So, in the last 3 months, we have actually conducted across about 20 states, uh, 3,000 rural youth that we went and asked, what do you think about AI? What are you using it for? What are your fears? What are your apprehensions? What are the opportunities? And we are glad to release the UGraph. We're calling it the Youth Growth, Resilience, Aspirations, and Future Readiness Index. We're releasing the UGraph report today. This captures AI adoption and awareness and acceleration in rural India. Some fascinating insights that 55% of the youth that we spoke, 91% were aware of AI, 55% are daily users, right? And 17% only said we use it very occasionally. But there are lots of fears and trepidations as well. So we hope that this report will set the context for conversations over the next 5 days and, of course, much beyond. So I just want to invite our panelists to share this report, to release the report. We're also very proud to have the support of Gates Foundation, Nudge, and GXT Hub, along with CL Educate and MySati as research partners. I'll invite Chetana and Satya, chairman of CL Educate, Chetana from the Nudge, to join us. We'll just do a quick release. This will be available for download shortly. But if I can maybe just have each of you. We're calling it the Insights into the Bharat AI Generation. Yes. Come, please. Yes, of course. Yes, come in. Three. Yes, there we go. Yes, come, Ramesh. So with that, as I said, we'll share these insights with you shortly. Uh, we'll also share QR codes where you can download this, just fresh off the press, and we'll continue to do this. Our dream is to take it to 1 million youth every year around AI and technology, and talk about technology adoption in the villages. And that brings me to the panel and the conversation that we have today. How do we bridge communities to use AI in a more meaningful fashion? Delighted to have Ramesh Raskar, the legendary innovator from the US, MIT Media Labs professor, runs Project Nanda. We are collaborating to figure out how do we take the agentic AI cafes into rural India, and how can we create agents that work for all. Thank you, Ramesh, for joining us, and a huge round of applause. We have Kanta Singh. Uh, Kanta is the fiery UN Women country representative. I was just thinking that we have an unfair advantage on the panel. One Kanta represents the voices of so many of million women that the gender diversity that you're talking about is at risk here. But thank you, Kanta, for being a partner, and we're doing some wonderful work on STEM and AI for girl students in about 3 states in India. Kanta will talk about that. She is again a dear friend, a mentor who's been straddling the US India space for a long time, former chairman of Bain India, currently advisor to Bain, and has been on several boards, both public and private, and the non-profit. He's the chair for Akshay Patra, the US Delivery, one of the first board members of Delivery. Saw it all the way grow from 200 to 11,000 crores. And Sri, thank you for joining us all the way from the US. And we have Aniruddha, who's from Digital Green. Fascinating work in the field of AI and agriculture, spun off from the Microsoft Research Labs. So we couldn't have asked for a better panel. Jayant, who was supposed to join us, is unable to make it from MagicBus. But let's get started out. With maybe I can start with maybe we'll start with Kanta. Which is why I picked on you. Right. So the thought is, if you can just share for a few minutes, 2-3 minutes, on what is the work and what is the perspective that you're saying. How do we take Jan AI to really to the people, and what are the initial thoughts? And we'll go around the
Sure.
conversation.
Thank you, Madan, and good morning, colleagues, and thank you, colleagues, for making me part of this panel. Um, how we do it is exactly how you are doing it, and we discussed it. Go to people, ask them what they need and what they're using, we could make it better for them. I think that's just the beginning, and that is exactly the problem statement. That's not happening when we are designing solutions for people, particularly rural people, and forget about women. Even rural young people are also not featured in the design of AI solutions. And I think we have to start from there. So first, listen to people. Then design keeping their specific needs in mind. Women have, I'm not saying they have more or less problems, but they have different problems or different issues. And they get affected by any technological solutions differently. So we need to keep in mind that of the 3,000 people that you consulted, I hope 50% minimum are women.
Not 50-55.
Wonderful. So that is how you bring in the right perspectives,
Yes.
but not just men and women.
Yes.
There are also other categories of
Exactly.
people, disabled,
Yeah.
other marginalized
Yeah.
sections. I think it has to be
Voice of
including
everybody.
everyone. Third issue that we need to address here is not just design, but devices that we design. How can they be more gender responsive? And the last thing is the governance of AI. Who is managing the ecosystem? Who is deciding the rules? Who is deciding the regulatory framework? Do they even think about women as a target community? For example, the biases that human minds had, they are perpetuated by AI multifold. And I'll just give you an example. Yesterday, I was reading a report by a scientist, and I'll share it with you on my LinkedIn page, basically saying young women in tribal areas in Jharkhand, in Gujarat, even in Odisha, are made to watch content that is made for the porn industry. It's so disturbing, I can't tell you. I cried many times when I was reading it. that for their earning, for their livelihoods, they are going through this content
Mm,
and have to comment on that. Now, how dehumanizing that is, how cruel that is.
mm,
And they don't know any other way to earn money, because that is where they have been roped by these sleazy companies. Sorry, I'm using the word. Um, but this is how women have been dehumanized. Every on daily basis, how women are being targeted, starting from trolling to all kinds of gender-based violence. I think nobody is listening to them, and that's where we need to start talk to women and see how it can impact their future, how they are going to be left out if they are not consulted now, and how again gender will be an afterthought. And that's not what we can afford. We can't get into a civilized and advanced economy if we are leaving out 50% of the
exactly.
population. I'll stop here.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kanta, for, as usual, shining the spotlight so clearly on what we need to do. Let us switch to a global context. Ramesh, you straddle many worlds, and lovely to get your thoughts on your vision for Gen AI and how do we really take AI to the masses.
First of all, congratulations on the report. And I know, Madan, you and I have been talking about this for a very long time on the Gen AI
Yeah,
mission. And I know some of us think of this as kind of a social impact, let's do good for the world. But I'm going to kind of flip that conversation around. Like, today when somebody graduates from MIT in Boston, they want to go work for some tech industry or something. And that's because the profit margins in those companies are very large.
yeah.
Nobody goes and joins like a water company or a sewage planning company or a port company because the margins are very, very small. But because of AI, if the efficiency, productivity gains are increasing in coding, if it's becoming 2x, 3x, imagine if other businesses also if they increase by 10%, 20%, maybe 50%. When that happens, even these industries that are not, the most kind of, profit positive companies will become profit positive. So my hope is that thanks to efforts like Gen AI, all the top talent will actually start moving to these industries because they'll be more lucrative than traditional. Because if you think right now, the world GDP is about $100 trillion,
Mm,
out of which only about 5 trillion or less is in IT.
mm,
So the remaining 95 trillion is what Gen AI is going to impact in amazing ways. So don't think of this just as pure social impact, but think of this as a brand new blue ocean for talent to move into. And one of the projects we're working on with Gen AI here, with Project Nanda, and my team members are here. Chris Pease is here, our president. I think Mahesh Lambe, our scientist, is here in the back. Both just came from US yesterday night with me. Um, and our mission is to see how we can create highly democratized AI. And one idea we've been working with Madan and the Gen AI team is how can every one of us
mm.
have their own micro AI, they're one of our own AI agent, because you don't want to become a slave to some masters who are creating AIs in some factories, but every one of us should be creating their own AI. And thanks to DPI, much of that is possible.
Mm,
So I encourage you to go to projectnanda.org. And we're also launching, with the help of India AI Mission, something called Doot,
mm.
which is another layer of DPI for AI agents for everybody. So just try go to digidoot.org and also projectnanda.org.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Ramesh. And I think the vision of an agent for all or multiple agents for every citizen, right? Imagine if 1.4 billion or whatever, even if you take a billion people, how many of us have multiple email IDs? All of us, right? I'm sure in a couple of years, we'll raise our hands when I say how many of us have multiple agents, right? You already have, right? So I think that is the power that you're talking about, and it's just not a social impact. It is a intersection of where you can do good, feel good, and make good money, right? Let us switch back to an India context, and Sri, I will come to you subsequently. Aniruddha, so from the digital green angle, you've been at it now for several years. On how do you really make a difference to the lives of farmers? Would be lovely to get your thoughts in.
Thank you, Madan, and thank you getting us together for this one
Thank
and
you.
reaching us here, making us
Yeah,
reach
I
here.
know.
Thank you. So, Digital Green has been in this field for helping farmers get correct advisories last 20 years. So, in the last 20 years, we have last 4 or 5 years, we have been with the AI stuff and trying to reach farmers because of the technology changes, the smartphone use, and everything. So we have our own farmer chatbot, which is called farmer.chat. It has reached out to a million odd users, and 6 lakhs are in India, and we are working in 8 states. Now, couple of things which I want to point out over here. When we were designing this whole thing, we realized this is not about access to models. It's more about usable and trusted decision support system for the farmer. Now, that was the whole thing. We also realized that digital divide is not the only divide. It is the divide of languages, social, economic, and geography. So, and what Kanta was talking about, women, so that's another whole layer to the whole issue of gender, is the whole another layer. And thirdly is also we have to think how AI can make solutions for the last mile and the last mile connectivity. And that's where the game is, because
Correct.
that's where our farmers or people in the villages, the youth in the villages are going to be, they are wanting that service. So that's what we are in the business of. And interestingly, in the last 1 million users which we have on Farmer Chat, 45% of them are women. And why they are there, that's very fascinating. And we have not, when we were looking and talking to them through our FGDs and things and user research, then we realized why they are there, why they are the major users of Farmer Chat. Because most of the men in India, in the northern belt and other belt, are migrating for to work in various NHI projects. But the woman is left behind not only to take care of the cattle, to the farm, to the elderly in the household, the children, everything she's around doing it. And for her to get advice which is on the phone, although shared, might be in most cases shared, but to get the advice on the phone without any judgment, a correct advice helps her to take decisions, and which makes a significant contributions to the family food security or family income per se. So I will stop there because maybe in the next
Yep,
slide I will
yep.
talk about the other things which are there.
Wonderful. Thank you, Aniruddha. I think what you said is absolutely right. That I think Gandhiji's vision of Sarvodaya and Antyodaya uh, is what we should look at, saying how does it reach the last man in the line and how does it reach everybody. So with that, Sri, coming to you, two things. One is, of course, you seeing world from the outside, from the valley, but you're also in the inside. I was just reminded, Ramesh, I think yesterday's Elon Musk made a interesting, a powerful comment saying that AI is like a supersonic tsunami. Uh, we are not even aware of what's going to hit us because models will be very, very different. Business models are going to dramatically change, right? It's the usual hyperbole, but there's a, I mean, we have to look at that kind of possibilities as well. Would love to get your thoughts from both the perspectives. You're doing a lot of work in education in India and the worldview as well.
Sure. So let me just talk a little bit about the opportunities in India. So I do a lot of work, as you mentioned, in the education space over here. And we are actually coming out with a report. I'm a member of the board of an organization called Central Square Foundation.
Right.
And we are releasing a report day after tomorrow that actually is a survey of 12,500 households across 10 states, 2,500 teachers, just to understand the usage of edtech and AI in low income households across
Mm,
the country.
mm,
So, very specifically, and there may be a lot of overlap with what
correct.
you have here. But I think a couple of important points that I want to bring out over here. One is that access is not an issue.
Mm,
You know, a lot of people think in India that we need to provide access, whether it's technology or AI, to low income households. That actually is no longer the issue right now. There is a significant actually usage of technology, and interestingly, there's a significant usage of education technology in low income households in this country. The other thing that's important to understand is that a lot of children are using AI today. And I'll make a couple of points. You know, when we release this report, you'll see all the percentages, but they're very high percentages in terms of the
mm,
usage of edtech.
mm.
The number one edtech tool that they use is YouTube,
YouTube, yeah.
right? I'm sure it's over here. In terms of AI, the number one AI tool that they use is WhatsApp. So actually, both, and this is true for adults as well, but I want to make the point about children, that children today are using AI, maybe about half of them, in ways that we may not even
Correct,
appreciate. So we're
correct.
sitting over here thinking that we have to provide access, we have to give technology. Actually, that's happening today as we speak. And so there are many implications that come out of this, and we'll get to that. But let me also make one other point, which is a year ago, last year, Michael Kramer, who won the Nobel Economics Prize in 2019, came to India and did a study of the implications of using EdTech and AI in this country. And one of the things that's very interesting in terms of the application of technology is these personalized paths for learning. So the general term is personal adaptive learning, or PAL. That's the term that's generally used. And these paths you can actually customize for every individual. That is now the power of what we have that we can provide. So I want to leave maybe two thoughts as a corollary to that, to sort of expand, to maybe broaden the lens a little bit. Number one is that every individual today, to your point, every citizen in this country has different needs.
Yeah.
I think we have the opportunity to figure out and customize how to address those needs in an individual manner. So when we talk about, I'll give you one example. There is no shortage of schemes or benefits
Yeah.
that the government of India or state governments provide to their citizens. The citizens don't know what they are and they don't know how to access it.
Mm.
What if we were able to create a layer that customized it? If you are, let's say, an individual over 60 or 65, these are schemes for senior citizens. If you're a woman, these are schemes that are available for you. If you're a villager. And the second part I want to leave, and this is to the point that Kanta was making, I think gender representation is important across the board. When you look at our representation, I do a lot of work in gender as well in India, surprisingly, wrong gender, but I still do work in that. But one of the things that it'll be shocking for you to realize is that when you look at the corporate sector, the representation of women in the corporate sector is 18%.
Mm.
It is lower than actually most countries in the world,
Mm.
even ones that you may be shocked to compare ourselves to. We have to find a way to increase that. The point that I want to make is that as we think about economic empowerment of women, as we think about creating more entrepreneurs, there is a very strong SHG movement in this country.
Correct.
The biggest issue that they have is market access.
Mm.
They create products, but they don't have market access. What if we were able to provide that through the technology that we have today?
Exactly.
So I want to leave those few thoughts with you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sri. Uh, there's so much of wisdom in the room that I want to now just go there. We are running, I think, try and get as many voices in as possible. But just to your point, I loved how the the Bharat AI generation is thinking, and I just want to say, somebody told us beautifully in Uttar Pradesh, what is the difference between Google and AI? And he said it lovely. He said, Google ne rasta dikhaya, AI chalna sikhata hai. Right? And I thought that's so well put, saying that it's just not information, it's pathways. And lastly, it says Google ने दुनिया फोन पे लाई, AI उसे अपनी बना दिया है. So it's actually turned the world is in my phone, right? It's just not information. So what it also means is the old models that we have thought about the last 20 years will have to be completely reimagined, right? And that's the opportunity that we are in. I think the supersonic tsunami is that opportunity. It's not about technology. It's about the intent behind using that technology. I want to bring in, uh, there is a fundamental layer that is just not about technology. It has to be about human creativity. And in that context, Satya, I'd love to get a couple of minutes from you, your perspectives on how do you think the underlying human creativity, curiosity, intelligence needs to be enhanced. One of the studies I was seeing recently is apparently for the first time in human history, IQ is declining, right? The last 10 years, it's always increased. So somebody was saying we've reached the peak point and maybe we'll go back to being apes. And I said, maybe it's not apes, we'll be IPES, AIPES, right? So just a couple of minutes.
Sure. Thanks, Madan. I think one of the important places that I see the grassroots, taking one village at a time work that GenAI is planning to do could be actually at the capacity building at the grassroots level absolutely afresh,
Right.
where we move away from the rote learning, the earlier legacy method where you know remembering data,
Hmm.
facts, and then regurgitating at the examinations, all of that can be
Exactly.
built
Correct.
afresh, and then bring the four skills that have been spoken about for the 21st century, which is even more critical in the context of
Yes, of
AI,
AI.
is critical thinking, creativity, communication,
Yep.
collaboration amongst the citizens. I think
Exactly.
if that can be built as a very fundamental layer in education, education becomes, in that sense, a little narrow term. I
Exactly.
would call it as a citizen capacity building
Exactly.
village upwards. I think it'll be a wonderful thing to partner with the onset of AI and the absolute grounds up work that you're planning to do.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Totally agree
Thank
with you.
you.
Thank you. And so you were talking about women participation in the economic workforce and how do we increase that. I just want to in Chetana from Nudge, who's doing some very interesting work around making sure women's economic empowerment using AI is there. So it'll be good to just get a couple of minutes.
Yeah, thanks, Madan. So, the Nudge Institute, along with the GXP Hub, Gender and Digital Hub at Lead at KI University, we are working on an interesting project to increase women's participation in AI and digital. What that means is mainly three things that I would want you to take back is women are powering AI already. So how do we
Hmm.
make it formalized? Like Kanta ma'am also talked about a lot of people who are working behind the scenes, and one of the key areas that we are working in is to formalize that work in terms of career pathways, in terms of making those work dignified. And the second is the design part of it, gender intentional design, which we are focusing on a lot of apps to make it more intentional in terms of designing it for women. What is it comfortable for them, making it safe, making it usable. And the third is augmenting livelihoods, where Aniruddha also talked about the PharmaChat app, and in terms of how can AI augment existing livelihoods. So increasing work, design, and augmenting existing livelihoods through AI is what we work on. We are looking for partners, would be happy to chat a lot.
Thanks a lot. Before I open it up for questions, I just want to bring in one more voice. Chris Peace is there. It'll be fantastic to hear from you, Chris, on what you're seeing from the outside in, as you see from the lens of Boston, MIT to what's happening here. Just a couple of minutes would be fantastic.
Thanks, and hi everyone. I think one of the things that is standing out to me already, even from just this room, is that as Ramesh was saying, a lot of the focus in the US is on the tech side of it, and we're hearing many more voices here on the people side of it. And I think that some of the critical implementations will come from not just the tech side, but when we think now we'll have like 50 apps on our phone, will we have like 50 agents? It's quite natural, I think, for folks in this room to think we're going to have 50 agents. One of the key things that we need to do collectively as a society is to make sure that we've got an education component, how to use that. So if you're now effectively, it's different from using 50 apps. If you've got 50 agents that are working truly for you, then we need to have an education component for general population on leadership and management of that resource. If we have that, then we'll compound the benefits. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Chris. I just wanted to bring these voices in for to bring the conversation much more richer. So any thoughts? I mean, this is a conversation. It'll be fantastic to have thoughts. If I can request you to just keep it under a minute, and if it's a comment or a question, we'll take about 5, 6 of them and then come back to the panel for a reflection and closing conversations. Yes, sir.
I have a very interesting point of view here.
Right.
I think we are going in a wrong direction.
Okay.
And we are going very fast in that direction.
Okay.
Right? Just like we got into a trap of using WhatsApp,
Correct.
Facebook, Instagram, Telegram, and whatnot. Right? Right now, what we are building is application and application here, but on foreign-based engines.
Sure.
Right? We are training them every day. We are feeding them data and data. We are making them giants.
Sure.
Right? We are not building the products
For us.
open source products.
Sure.
Open source
Okay.
products, right? So I think we need to focus on open source products which are our own, right? Once we feed those giants, we
Sure.
make them big, they'll charge us money, they'll twist our hand, they'll do what now?
Point.
So the focus should be
We'll address that. We'll address that. Thank you. We'll take another one there. Yes, ma'am. Hmm. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Before I mean, we'll come back to that, but I just want to share another, just a perspective. Yes, sir. I'm just saying, all of us here are Jan AI. The question that we are bringing up, I think it's the responsibility of all of us to figure out the ideal answers to that, hope so that we don't go very fast in the wrong direction. I just want to say that, listen, we have to collectively solve for all of this. And I just wanted to make that point that if you can step out of this room saying we have to solve it together, I think the purpose of this conversation would have got achieved, but we'll come back to you. Yes, sir. Yes, we'll come.
many segmented initiatives going on.
Correct.
How can we bring them
Beautiful.
together just to create a bigger impact?
Exactly. Exactly.
Maybe initiative, even ecosystem
100%.
can work together.
100%. I think that has been the single largest challenge that we'll face. We reinvent a lot of wheels. We'll come back to that. Yes. Yes.
When we come to the topic befundament, there are transgenders also.
Correct.
We need to prevent our children from, there are another dozens of information, not only men, women, and
Sure.
transgenders. We need to prevent the system for our children to reach out of those nonsenses. Because we have a responsibility to safer growth on children also, because Russia is planning and the very foreign companies, and we need to save our culture and we give a proper platform to the next generation. We
Sure.
need a platform from the scratch to prevent those nonsenses from our children, and we need to prevent our culture also. So government and the foreign companies don't bother about it. As he said, we only know our culture. If we need to develop
Sure.
women, we need to empower the women. We need to empower all the women in our India to prevent the culture. And we know how to close those nonsenses from the AI to our children.
Got it. So basically, you're saying how do we take what we have, ring fence it, and whatever. We'll come back to that. We have two more. We'll come back to you. Yes. Okay. Correct. 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 Yes. Correct. Wonderful. Yep. Great question. We'll take three more and we'll come back. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Sorry, four more. We have your hand as well. Sure. Okay. Okay. Sure. Language. Bengal. Okay. Okay. Interesting thought. We had you, and one more. Yes, please. Hmm. Hmm. Correct. Sure. Okay. We have, yes, ma'am. Correct. Sure. Sure. Got it. Okay. In the interest of time, okay, we'll take two last questions. I know it's an oxymoron. Yeah.
You said AI is teaching us how to walk, right? So, in the global sphere, the conversation is if AI is teaching us how to walk, crypto is fueling the fuel. How does that play into the aspect of tokenization?
Right. Okay.
And how do you create a trustless system where essentially we have
Correct.
centralized companies will shut you off, right? You
Yep.
can't deplatform. So how do you address that we cannot be deplatformed?
Sure. Okay. And one last question, and we'll come back. Yes. Right. Correct. Okay. One more comment. Yes. Right. Yes. I mean, yeah, it will stay at the fringes. Sure. Okay, great. Okay, so we've got a bunch of thoughts. I would suggest that, yeah, the way that the thoughts in the room are around responsible ethical AI, the sovereign part of AI, how do we build what makes sense for us? There's a lot of work around conversations around inclusion across women. And we were also talking about the whole early education, etc. So I would suggest that if you take 2 minutes just to see what is top of your mind as broad responses rather than specific things, because as we said, we're all figuring this out together. And I'll come back on the collaboration at the end. Yes, yes, yes.
I think you know these are such important questions, and we cannot solve them overnight.
Yeah.
At the same time, these questions have persisted through different technological revolution and different diffusions. So I think it's important to take a kind of a slightly longer term view. And I was just reading through the report, which is fascinating. I highly recommend reading through it. And one of the questions was, what are you using AI tools for? And most of that for like caption creation, asking questions. But only 18% were talking about it's actually helping them, getting new form of livelihood.
Correct.
And I think it's very easy to start having conversation of what about now. So I will tell you a quick story. I was meeting a really famous head of a department, medicine department at a top university in the US. And she said, oh, I'm going to write an article in whatever Nature or Science about all the mistakes the LLMs are doing when they answer questions about, about health. And I said, don't do it. I said, all these things will be solved in the next year or two, because you might be complaining about ye hota hai, wo hota hai, but if it's a technological problem, it'll get solved with technology. So don't worry about spending an article and putting your reputation out there and spending your energy trying to tell people how the health questions are incorrect on a ChatGPT of 3 years ago. And I think the same thing is true now. I would encourage you to get not too focused on what's happening right now, it'll be almost like talking about the weather. There's not much you can do because there are enough forces out there that'll go and solve those problems. But there are other issues.
Mm.
For example, issues that you mentioned where some of it is dehumanizing
Yeah,
in so many ways.
correct. Ah,
Folks are making a clear distinction about the technology for today versus where it'll be 3 years from now, and just have a longer term perspective.
wonderful. No, I think that's very,
Thank you
very
once
well put.
again for lack of any other knowledge. I just know about women, and but I will also say other marginalized groups, whosoever has been left behind. I want to talk on behalf of all of those people. Um, Three things are very important. One is when we are riding this wave of AI and technology and whatnot, people need to be skilled and skilled in the right manner. And that is, I think, most of us are making an effort towards. And our work with you in the tribal districts of three states is amazing. We were very um, uh, confused about starting that program, but we saw girls from um, where they were using AI from caution to being so confident, from being very reluctant to being very reliant now on technology. We have seen women moving from where they were in their homes to moving away from to other cities to work. So I'm saying skilling is very important. Data is absolutely critical, because if you don't capture data now, women will again be left behind. They will not be part of the data, not just that data collection, but they will not feature in that data. So they have to start featuring in that data so that we have enough evidence to say this is where the gap is. What you're talking about, Shri, 18% in the formal workforce in any country which is looking at 5 trillion economy or a 17 trillion economy, no country can reach there unless the talent pool is utilized fully. And women, I'm not saying more or less. I mean, I know women do better jobs, but I'm just saying, I'm not saying that. So, whatever opportunities, a matter of opportunities. If they are given right opportunities at right time, they bring a different perspective shift. And that is what we need to count on. That the world has been running on one wheel. Well, how do we bring the other wheel, which can bring the balance? So the third point is that, and last is again leadership of women and governance. So we need to be careful about all these
Hmm.
things right now.
Hmm.
Otherwise,
Time is past.
time
It's
will
gone.
be
It can't.
past, and
You
we'll
can't.
be doing the patchwork again
Correct.
like we are doing on violence now. Technology has facilitated gender-based violence so much
Hmm.
that's already out of control.
Hmm.
And that is so worrying that one girl drops out because of some incident, 10 others drop
Yeah.
out. And that we can't afford at this point
Yeah.
in time. This country is too ambitious and too inspirational for the world. We cannot leave our women
Correct.
behind. Thank you.
Very well said, Kanta. Thank you.
So I'll just make a few comments. One is that, as you think about gender representation, it's very important. By the way, you should say, you should not apologize for saying that women do the jobs better than men. It's
Hmm.
true. I think we should all acknowledge it, own it. And the thing that we have to realize is that when women are economically empowered, it changes the family, and it changes the community, and it changes society.
Hmm.
It is very important for us as a country. This is not just about labor force participation. It is actually about changing the country. I feel
Yeah.
very passionate about this.
Lovely.
But that's a separate topic. Let me talk a little bit about education itself. I don't disagree with the comments around sovereign AI. I don't disagree at all. I think for me, the more important part is less, and I'm going to make a controversial statement over here, is less about whether the AI is sovereign or not, but whether the tools that you use recognize the context in which you're living and appreciate that. So I don't disagree also about the fact that ultimately we do need sovereign AI. But anything that you interface with today has to understand the culture and context
Hmm.
of where you are. That I think is more important. The thing that I will say is the following, which is that we still have a long way to go to make sure that people use technology for their needs. Whether it is somebody who's a 60-year-old woman who's never been literate,
Hmm.
we have the opportunity to now make that change, make that
Yeah.
difference. And we should do that.
Yeah.
And so things like what I was talking about earlier, personalized learning paths for anything that you want to learn, we have that opportunity
Yeah.
today. And so I would hope that we take this opportunity And I hope that for that opportunity, by the way, there are two things that in my mind are important. One is that we need to create low data, mobile friendly AI. So right now it is very heavy, it's not easy to use. And for the Indian context, we need to make sure that the AI that Indians, the way they interface is important. The second, I think everyone will agree, guardrails are
Yeah.
important and making sure that, we understand because children are now accessing, this. So when I was talking about children in low income households using AI through WhatsApp,
Mm.
they are accessing it.
Mm.
We need to make sure that they do it in a responsible way.
Exactly.
Not everyone may have the ability to put locks. Maybe they do. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so those are
Sure.
two things in my mind that.
Wonderful. Thank you. A couple of minutes and we can.
Yeah. Uh, Addressing the question on that, we are building on not sovereign. So Pharma.chat is completely open source. So we are building on open source so everybody can use it, access it, and understand how we are building it. First thing is that. Second thing, I think all of us have talked about in India, it has to be for Indians.
Yes.
And it has to be for the local languages which we are talking about. And Madan, your report talks about, the what youth AI, what youth want from AI basically is local language 45%. And other part which is important is help with real life tasks like farm schemes, health access, farming, and all that. Another 22%.
Yeah.
That's a significant
Solution to come on.
so we have, that's a huge area where we need to provide solutioning for. To give you an example, the moment we put the government scheme on Farmer Chat,
Yeah.
our usage went up. So monthly active users and the weekly active users just took off. People started using it more because they're trying to find which scheme to apply for and which scheme to they can be eligible for. Now, these are things which the AI needs to build solution for the local situation and local scenarios. Coming to the issue of taking actions based on somebody talked about health actions, right? In farming, if you take an action, it's also can be suicidal.
Yeah.
You lose your crop, right? So what we have done for the farming side of the story, so we've got around 5 million queries being raised. Everyday queries are coming in, and be it pictures or be it voice or be it any different types of typologies of queries are coming in. So we also have a reinforced human learning framework. So there are agronomists, agriculture scientists at the back end looking at those queries, how the answer has been provided, and making sure to tweaking it so that the next time a question on that chili crop comes, then the answer is to the point right, and making sure as much as can be done. So that's a whole effort that has to be made to make sure that is India specific, crop specific, and agroeconomic zone specific. So those are efforts which are needed to be done, and making sure that the AI talks about Indians and Indians in the villages.
Perfect. Thank you so much. No, I think that was a fantastic summary of the broader questions. I'll just end with a couple in the. I think we're running out of time. I'll come back to the collaboration part. See, the whole idea of Jan AI is to build a collaborative around AI. Three things are happening. One, many of us are reinventing the same wheel. We are wasting resources and we are wasting time. The point here is, I think the window of opportunity that we have is closing very fast. If we don't act together now, it'll be hard to undo things because, as you said, we're moving very fast in the wrong direction. We can't. So the idea of the collaborative is, can we build X number of people and use AI to figure out, hey, if you're doing this, you've learned it, what can I do that can build on top of that? Do visit us at the Jan AI Collaborative in hall number 14. We are probably the only non-state non-profit into the country pavilion. Do come there and you will get to meet some amazing people. We have actually chronicled stories of 12 AI superheroes from Sirohi and Raichur, 6 women, 6 men, who are doing exemplary work in all the issues we are talking about. We're releasing this tomorrow, but you will get to meet 6 of them in our stall and hear from real life stories. So with that, thank you so much. A huge round of applause to everybody. And I would love to invite a dear friend, Asha Jadeja Motwani, to hand over the mementos to this panel. Asha, lovely to have you in the hall with us. Yeah. For free. Oh, lovely. They've also come out with a image from our. So this has a photo of our panel right out. Wow. Right? This is a fantastic power of transformation. Thank you so much. And wish you all the very best for the next 5 days. Let's truly make these conversations work. Yes, so we will share the report QR code. If you can just share that. Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much.